Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to the Sully Squad. We got a lot to get into tonight. We got so all of a sudden a struggling basketball team. Sixers, couple losses in a row, and serious letdown. I mean, I don't know about you guys, man. I know. I know it's all about the playoffs and everything, but I was really looking forward to seeing Embiid versus the Joker, man.
Absolutely.
I'm highly disappointed that he's not playing.
I didn't think there was any way he wouldn't play.
Yeah, I know. It's
and if he dominated again, it'll definitely solidify his
Absolutely.
his
MVP status.
Yeah, I think it's a joke, man. I feel like he should have sat one of the weekend games,
Yeah.
but whatever. We'll get into all that. We got a Flyers team that's starting to play better, and we got a what the hell? We got a Fly. What the? I don't know what's going on in the background here, but no, we got a Flyers team that's all of a sudden like winning games that they shouldn't, but they're playing well. And opening week of the Phillies, and of course, there's always football. So we're going to get into a lot of football. We got a special guest, Brenden Deeg, coming on in a couple minutes. But first, let me get to the panel here. My usual cast. Got my man Sean Kilrain to my left. What's up, Sean? How you doing?
Man? Hanging in there, man.
Got my man Euro Paul to the bottom here. What's up, Paul? How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Pretty good, pretty good. And for all you baseball fans out there, tomorrow night, Paul and I are starting a new baseball show on the Out of Box Network called Extra Innings. So any baseball fans out there, make sure you check us out. We're going to do a little, season preview. Right to Paul's side, I got my man Diego Bianchi, Mr. 6 for 6. What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Chilling.
And I got my main man right here, all Phillied up right here with the Phillies hat and the World Series thing. My man Mike Fuji. What's up, bro? How you doing, bro?
What's up, fellas? 1 month from the draft and 3 days till the Fighting Phils defend that National League title. What's going on?
That's right. Well, hey, man,
a lot to get excited about the Phillies this year, man. With Trey Turner, Adams, that lineup.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen. Speaking of the draft, we have our special guest on here. We got Brenden Deeg from The Score. We're going to talk some football with my man Brenden. How you doing, man?
What's up, Brenden?
What's going on, guys? We got a jam-packed squad here. I love it, man.
What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Appreciate your time. And, looking at the NFL landscape, I mean, it looks like the Eagles have made some, we've lost some guys, obviously. We lost, the Eagles lost Hargrave. They lost Edwards. But, in my opinion, I feel like Howie's done a decent job in replacing some of these guys. I'm a fan of the Edmonds signing.
Yeah, me too.
He reminds me kind of like of a Rodney McLeod type guy. He's not splashy, but maybe he can, be place at the right time. What's your thoughts on the Eagles offseason so far?
I think it's as expected. I think of course they did lose some guys, but this was something that every fan of the Eagles should have known, or anyone in the NFL should have known was coming. They had a laundry list of free agents: C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Javon Hargrave. So I think keeping James Bradbury and keeping that secondary on the two corners intact was a big win for the Eagles. And Howie Roseman has a quote. I think Zach Berman at The Athletic had a story, and Howie Roseman, it was a couple years ago, said, "Give me two corners, two pass rushers, a receiver, and a quarterback, and I can make things work." If you take a look around the roster, they got two good cornerbacks, they got two stud pass rushers, and Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. They got a quarterback, they got two receivers. So Howie's got everything he wants. And I think the one way to kind of look at this is they're going to head into the draft without a specific real need. And Howie got in trouble when he drafted for need in the Jalen Reagor pick. Now, they forced a wide receiver pick. It was the wrong pick. We all know that. There was a receiver taken right after him named Justin Jefferson. But they were forced into taking wide receiver. They were forced into kind of pinpointing a position and forcing a talent evaluation on specific people. And when you don't have to do that, I think it makes things a lot easier for the general manager, makes things a lot easier for the scouts and the talent evaluators on that in the front office. So I think it kind of escaping like we need a draft this position in round 1 or 2. It was really important for this team. And even like before the draft, you take a look around the NFL, there hasn't been a lot of like big changing moves this offseason, right? Like not a lot of talent has swapped teams or swapped conferences or anything like that compared to last offseason. So just pound for pound at the roster, I still think this is the best roster in the NFC and can still get a lot better. Like let's just kind of go back to last year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was acquired 2 weeks before the season. James Bradbury was signed in June, and A.J. Brown was traded for at the draft. Like those were three really important pieces for this team, right? So there's plenty of time to add talent. And I think Hy Rosen's done a good job of kind of dodging the bullets that were coming his way with all the free agents, and they've got a hell of a roster right now going to the draft, and it's gonna be exciting next 4 weeks. I'm in full draft mode right now. Started late last week, so I'm ready for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I had a question here, but my man Mike Laura, I got a comment here, and he's touching on what I wanted to ask. He says, I know money's tight, but is there, is there any possibility of Howie making a move for a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, a D tackle? Do you think that's a possibility at all, or is money too tight?
Jeffrey Simmons was one of my favorite players coming out of that draft. I was obsessed with him. I wanted him in an Eagles uniform. It would be a dream. I don't think it's. I don't want to like poo-poo it. I don't think it's a possibility. No, I'll say I'm going to shut it down. Unfortunately, do you think the Titans are going to trade another star player to us? To the Eagles?
No, I don't.
I think every time I calls, they're hanging up.
They should learn their lesson the first time, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I think that's a problem. I know it's a different general manager, but I don't know if they're going to be in the business of doing business with the Eagles, if that makes sense. And he needs a new contract. He's going to need a hefty contract. He's a top 7 player at his position. Those guys get paid. So I think it's a dream. I think he's a perfect addition to the squad, but I would be surprised if they make a move for him.
Gotcha.
Hey, Brenden, it's Paul. I have a question for you. What do you feel about the Penny signing and letting Sanders go? I know Sanders didn't get that much in average per year. It's just, I was just wondering, why they didn't re-sign him and then sign someone like Penny. I know Penny has it's like a low risk, high reward kind of deal. But how do you feel about him on this roster?
I love the Penny signing. I was actually advocating for it before free agency. This was a guy that I was targeting and that I wanted in an Eagles uniform. The Eagles historically and Hy Roseman have kind of taken the running back position by committee, and they'll take cheap swings on talent, guys with upside. If Rashad Penny fit that bill, just some stats from Rashad Penny are pretty crazy. There's only a certain amount of running backs that have 300 carries. He's second in the NFL in 9.5 yards per carry on runs with no contact. 4.37 yards after contact, that's first in the NFL. 10.5 yards explosive run rate, that's second in the NFL over that time span. Now, The key is 300 carries. That's not a lot of carries, so the sample size is small because Derrick Henry runs for 300 carries a year. It's a smaller sample size, I get it. But when he's on the field and healthy, he is an incredible talent, an incredible player. They have to keep him healthy, and they're going to have to figure out the best way to do it. I think it's one of those signings where, it's fine if he has a 5-game kind of injury span from week 11 to 16 or something like that. You just want him healthy for the playoff run. You want him healthy for the big games. He's making $600K guaranteed, so that's chump change. That's nothing. It's not even fully guaranteed he's going to be on the roster. Something could happen in training camp where he gets an injury or he doesn't look good. So I think it's a high upside swing, and I think it's an exciting player. I think it's a potential upgrade at the position. I liked the Miles Sanders draft pick when it happened. I was a big Miles Sanders guy. I think the draft pick was still fine. He gave a lot of 4 good years here. I think the problem with Miles Sanders was he was kind of a liability on third down towards the end of his career in Philly. He couldn't get on the field on third down. He was bad at pass protection. His receiving yards plummeted. He had more receiving yards in his first year in 2019 than the next 3 years combined. So they just didn't trust him on third down. And I think kind of having upgrading that position, I think, was the one key on offense where you could see maybe an uptick, because there's not a lot of other positions on the Eagles offense that were up for grabs. You had running back. Now you have the right guard position where Cam Jurgens probably going to slot in, and third wide receiver. So I think those are the positions that Howie wanted to kind of attack and say, how do we get the offense better? Look at those 3 positions. And I think Rashad Penny's a great start. I don't think Rashad Penny's going to be the starting running back going into the season. I do think they're going to draft a guy on day 1, or not day 1. I would be shocked to take one day 1, but day 2, maybe early day 3, and they'll roll with Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad Penny, and whoever that draft pick is going to be.
Gotcha. Right, and as far as the wide receiver position, do you see the Eagles possibly reaching out for a free agent or drafting a receiver in the later rounds?
I tweeted out a couple of days ago, I will be mocking Eagles, wide receivers to the Eagles on day 2 and day 3. This is it's not a deep wide receiver class, but there's a lot of talent to be had in day 2 and 3. And there's a lot of guys kind of those middle rounds that Hy Roseman can target. And I think that's a position they need to upgrade. Kind of just what I just, going back to what I just said, there was 3 positions where you can look for an upgrade. Wide receiver 3 is a big one. I thought Quez Watkins didn't play very well down the stretch. Quez Watkins does what he does. He can extend the field. He can run straight lines. He can get open and kind of create more space. But on those third downs, on those key situations where you don't really you need those 7-yard pickups.
Mhm.
I do think that's where Quez Watkins was lacking, and it kind of maybe pulled the offense back a little bit. Of course, he had that drop in the Super Bowl. I think it's a drop. I know a lot of people say he couldn't have caught it. I thought that was a catchable football.
That was
Yeah,
a drop. That was a drop.
I agree.
Absolutely could have caught it.
That was a key part of the game, right? So if you're Howie Roseman, you're sitting there how do I upgrade this offense? Wide receiver 3 is definitely the place.
Mhm.
Free agency, I don't think they're going to attack it. Maybe they bring in a veteran. There's not a lot of guys left on the market. It was a weak free agency class to begin with. So I think they're going to kind of want to infuse that wide receiver room with more youth, more speed, more talent. And I would look for them to attack one in round 3. They don't have a 4th round pick right now. So I'm expecting them to trade down from one of those first round picks to gather more mid round picks, and I think they're going to attack a wide receiver in day 2 somewhere. They're a lot of people are kind of down on this wide receiver class. I've liked some of what I've watched so far, so I do think they're going to attack wide receiver in the draft because again, AJ Brown. I know we're looking farther down the road here, but AJ Brown's going to probably want more money next offseason. Devonta Smith is probably going to need a new contract, right? There's certainty for the wide receiver position for 2023 and probably 2024. But when you look past that, I think they're going to need some more youth and infuse this team with just more talent at that position.
As far as AJ Brown, before Howie made that trade, I thought he signed him to, what was it, a 4 or 5 $100 million deal because he had 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah, he's still signed long term, but he had a hell of a year last year. If you take a look at the stats, and then if he produces that next year, him and his agent are probably looking around going, hey, he's 26 years, you'll be 26 years old at that time, 27, 2 years left on a contract. Let's bump that price up a little bit. We're talking in the future, but that's how players operate, and that's how star players operate. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of asking for more dough. I don't think he's going anywhere. That's not kind of the point I'm saying, but they need to kind of get cheaper options at that position. Quez Watkins is also not a lock to make this team. They can save $2.7 million by getting rid of him. So I wouldn't lock in him being the wide receiver number 3. I do think he's going to be on the roster and they'll give competition to him, but I think kind of all possibilities are open for wide receiver 3 right now.
Gotcha.
Now, as far as draft-wise, Brenden, with the 10th and 30th pick, you touched on running backs and wide receivers. Do you see us getting a guy like Gibbs, Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, Arcane from A&M?
So I kind of just started my running back evaluation. I led with John Robinson a few days ago, and that guy's going to cause me a lot of stress over the next few weeks because he is a very fun player, very exciting player. He goes against everything I believe in drafting running backs high in the draft. So kind of sitting on that, we can get this incredible talent right at the front of the draft and drop him in an offense where he has starting potential. Because that's the other thing with this team, right? There's not a lot of positions open to play. I think if you go high or if you go top 15 at right tackle or right guard, you can slot him in where the Cam Jurgens spot is, but then you're losing Cam Jurgens.
Right.
Wide receiver 3 is an opening, safety's an opening, linebacker's an opening, but running back is the most open drop in and play right away position, in my opinion. Yeah. There's not a lot of competition behind them. So Bijan Robinson is really intriguing to me. I like him a lot. And I had a ton of fun watching him. I was sending videos to I have a draft group with friends. I'm like take a look at this run, man. He follows his blocks so good. He's just he's a pinpoint, in my opinion, top 10 player in the draft. Now you have to push it for position value and whatnot. So I don't think they're going to take Bijan Robinson in the top 20. I think it's kind of out of the cards. Howie Roseman never does it. He values position in the draft. He never takes safeties, linebackers, running backs. He's just something he's never done. He's never even take corners in the first round since Lito Shepard. So I think Bijan Robinson's out at number 10. I would be shocked if they do take a swing there. I also don't think they're going to be drafting at 10. I think they're going up or down some way. I think it's a 1% chance they draft at 10. They're going to want to go up and get a guy they like. If he's falling, if they can't, they're going to pull back out because that in the draft. So a lot can change over the next couple of weeks, but as I'm looking at it that 8 to 15 pick range is very murky. There's you can ask maybe 7 different talent evaluators who should be the 8th overall pick, maybe get 6 different opinions, right? So I do think he's going to pull out there. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy, I watched a lot of him last night and today. He's fun. He's electric. He's a guy that I can see dropping right in the offense day one and making an impact. he could be a wide receiver 3. I put on a clip on my Twitter today. Like I made a compilation of just like all of his receiving videos. He's a really good pass catcher. That's something they didn't have out of the backfield last year. And he's kind of a hit or miss runner. He doesn't break a lot of tackles, so they're gonna have to kind of get him some open space. But in open space, he's electric. So he's a guy I could see them touching on maybe on the 30th pick, like at the end of the first round, or they trade back up into late or early in the second round. I think he's a guy that they're gonna like. So I would definitely keep an eye on him. I just think the Bijan Robinson thing's a pipe dream for Eagles fans, and I feel like it's a lot of talk. It's going to be the talk of Eagles Twitter, talk Eagles social media for the next few weeks. But I just have a tough time seeing it happen.
What did Shannon Sharp say? Didn't Shannon Sharp say, never say never? Never say never. Never know.
All it takes is one guy, right, to change Howie Rose's mind. And is Bijan Robinson that type of prospect that Howie falls in love, right? Just takes one dude. It's just it's so against his MO. They're not really in the pick range for it. Like I think 30 is going to be too far. I see him slotting in that like 18 to 25 range. Yeah. And I know plug your ears, but the Dallas Cowboys pick at 26, I think.
I'd rather go to Tampa Bay, man.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. I think the Los Angeles Chargers are a team to watch out for them as well. They're trying to move Austin Eckler. They're trying to upgrade the running back position. So those are the two teams, Chargers and Cowboys, I take an eye out for, because that's a position, again, similar to the Eagles, where a running back can be drafted right there and he will be a starter right day one.
I have a possible marriage. You mentioned Tampa Bay, and that's actually a really interesting possibility to me, because we're sitting there at 10. What if hypothetically a Richardson or a Will Levis is still sitting there at 10 and Tampa Bay really likes one of those kids? Could we possibly move from 10 to 19, pick up a pick for next year, and then we're in prime Bijan Robinson scenario at 19? You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. I still think 19 is too high for Howie Rosen.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, it's tough because he's a really fun player, really good player. He's the best running back. I haven't watched a ton of I've been like scouring YouTube. I've got on deck to watch a couple of his games over the next bit, and I think I'll get more of opinion on him. But like just from like the early eye test, he's a very good player, very fun.
Like Andrew and James.
Yeah, like there's one of these running backs that come to the draft every 5-6 years, right? The last one was Saquon Barkley. I think he's in that category. Now, it's funny to think about. I was kind of brainstorming this last night. Saquon Barkley might have not have been a bad pick at 4th overall for the Giants, if you really think about it. He just got a franchise tag. He's going to be there for a 5th year. He produced 2 of those 4 years. You could probably look back on it and pinpoint that we could have got someone else, but like it wasn't an awful pick. Like he turned out good. 4th overall is just very high, and I do think 19 is just we know how he likes defensive linemen. He likes offensive linemen, and that's where he's going to lean. So I think they're going to look for defensive line help in this draft, and I think that's going to be the very first pick. And I wouldn't hate it at all. I think there's a ton of guys in that area where they can lean for defensive line help.
If you had to gamble, would you go defensive end or tackle?
I think the Lane Johnson extension might push them back on finding like his quote unquote replacement. Okay. They have done that a lot too. It's weird. Like if you take a look back at Howie Rosen's draft picks over the last few years, like Andre Dillard was the Jason Peters replacement. Cam Jurgens was the Jason Kelsey replacement. They drafted Sidney Jones knowing he couldn't play a year. I don't know if that's the route I would go. I would look. It's tough because you want to take best player available, right? Like that's how your draft mindset should be. But you want to get this guy on the field. Like I don't want another 1st round draft pick where I know I'm not going to see him on week 1.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the push and pull with the Eagles draft this year. Is there's not a lot of open spots, and we've done this dance with a lot of guys. Like where you're drafting a guy and you know he's not going to play, and we're projecting for next year. I think they need impact guys day 1 from this draft, at least 2 starters, and I think Howie Roseman knows that as well. And this is a really important draft for them. So I think defensive line is where you can get immediate impact. Right away. Like if you just take a look at the depth of this pass rush, if Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweater, your 2 starters, then you got a 35-year-old Brandon Graham and a Derek Barnett coming off a torn ACL. Right? There's a lot of playing time to be had there. I think anything you get from Derek Barnett is a win-win. Like I don't think you're expecting much from him. He's going to be on the roster. He's like they're not save a lot of money to cut him. They don't really have pieces behind him. Brandon Graham was awesome last year, but I do think you have to expect some. I don't think you're going to get 11.5 sacks out of Brandon Graham like he did last year, or 10.5, whatever it was. I think you're kind of looking for some sort of drop off. So I feel like defensive end and pass rushing is where, like, if you draft a player high in the draft, they can step in day one and have immediate impact.
Wow.
And just a few guys like Miles Murphy, Lucas Van Ness, some of those guys are intriguing to me, and they will be in play for when the Eagles pick their first pick.
Oh, they haven't had a premier pass rusher in a long time. I mean, I know Frank Cole is really the last one.
Well, Hassan Reddick was unbelievable this year. You can pin him, like, he was, what a find he was. But like you want to keep infusing that pass rush, right? There's a new defensive coordinator coming in. I don't think you're getting 70 sacks like you did last year. I think you want to keep pushing talent into that position. So that's where I would watch. It's still early, and I have a lot of draft evaluation to do, but that's kind of where my mind's at right now.
Okay. So moving on from the draft, and let's get into a little bit of what's going on in the NFL today. This whole Lamar Jackson thing, I know everyone's seen his comments today, or his tweets to everybody. Do you think these owners are blackballing him here a little bit and having a little bit of collusion against Lamar Jackson? I mean, MVP quarterbacks don't hit the market all the time.
It's funny. I don't know if you guys caught this, but when he released those tweets, John Harbaugh was speaking to the media at that exact moment. I don't think that
3
was
minutes
by
into his
accident.
speech.
Yeah, I don't think that was by accident. I think he knew what he was doing there. The Lamar Jackson thing drives me nuts because I can't wrap my head around the fact that there is a 26-year-old former MVP quarterback openly available on the market for these teams, and no one is biting. Like the Washington Commanders, what are you doing? The Atlanta Falcons, what are you doing? The Indianapolis Colts, what are you doing? Like, I can find 6 landing spots for this guy that would be an immediate upgrade. It's a lot you have to give up. You have to pay probably $220 million guaranteed, whatever that number is going to be, plus give up draft capital. I don't care. Do it. Like, what's the alternative here? Look at the Commanders' quarterbacks over the last 10 years. Look at the Falcons starting quarterbacks since Matt Ryan kind of fell off a cliff. Like, I'm having a hard time processing this whole situation. It's driving me nuts. And I hate the he needs an agent argument. No, screw that. Get what you're worth, man. Like, I will never take the sides with the owners. I will never take a side with the league. I think Lamar Jackson is doing what he needs to do. He has money. He can hold the sale. He's got marketing deals. He's got brand deals that he can get paid for now. Get the money that you deserve. I think he deserves a Deshaun Watson contract. If Deshaun Watson got one, Lamar Jackson deserves one. So I am fully on Lamar's side. And I do think there's some sort of like collusion. I don't know if collusion is the right word, but something fishy's going on in between the owners because it doesn't make any sense to me. It's baffling me. Any other let's say Justin Herbert was available right now. Do you think this would be going on with Justin Herbert? No.
He would have. You say there's only 7 teams that need a quarterback. He would have 12 teams outside the door.
Exactly. And I can make the argument that Lamar Jackson could be a better quarterback than Justin Herbert over the next 5-6 years, right? Like this situation is driving me nuts, and I don't understand it, and I don't think it's ending anytime soon. I think this is going to happen, go into after the draft, because the other thing is teams don't want to trade I think teams are going to want to hold on to their draft picks for this year. Yeah. If they do make a move, they're going to wait for that draft to finish so they can mortgage future draft picks, because it kind of ruins everything if you make the trade 2 weeks before the draft, right? Then you got to redo your whole draft board and you got to redo your whole process, right? So I do think this is something that's not going to come to an end till after the draft, and who knows, once you hit June, July, August, who knows what's going to happen then. Then I think the gears start turning. Ravens want to get training camp. They want to get the guy in the field. Yeah. In the end, I do think he's a Baltimore Raven. I do think he signs a long-term contract there. I think that's the end game. But requesting a trade, a lot of times when players request a trade, it's hard to come back. And when you put it in the public, bridges burn, people get upset. So I don't know. This is a weird one. It's a situation I've never seen before in the NFL.
Brandon, hypothetically,
I do think with Lamar Jackson though, the city loves him, so he won't get that. If he comes back, he's coming back to a city that loves him and wants him back. And I feel like the players like him also. He's a very likable guy inside the locker room, in my opinion. So unless you're Burton, does he care about these bridges with the owners really when they're like billionaires and they don't have nothing really to do within the actual game?
Yeah, I think it's more from Lamar's side than the Ravens side of things. He wants out. He requests a trade and says, I don't want to be here. I think that kind of just puts a whole roadblock in any negotiations going forward. Now, there are reports. There was a report today, I think it was from Pro Football Talk, that did say that he was negotiating since March 2nd when he requested the trade. But it's a weird, it's kind of like the Darius Slay thing, right? When Darius Slay was reported to be traded, And it was kind of like, ugh, like, I don't know if there's an end game to coming back, but they made it happen, right? You're going to kind of need some sort of miracle work kind of like that. Like it's very rare when you see a player on the block kind of come back on a long-term contract like Lamar's going to get. So,
Brandon, just hypothetically speaking, I know you mentioned all this team, not sure about their draft capital or salary availability, but about a team like the 49ers, like you're one step away from really, you got the team on both sides of the ball, ready to, probably be right now on paper the best team in the NFC. Why not take a shot?
I agree. I would 100% agree with you. I think they don't have a starting quarterback right now. Sam Darnold, they signed to a free agent contract. They have Trey Lance and Brock Purdy there. I couldn't tell you who's going to be the starter there. I think it should be Trey Lance. The issue with the 49ers is they just gave up 3 first-round picks for a guy that has played, 3 games? I don't know if they're going to want to invest more money and more future assets into another quarterback. So 49ers make a ton of sense, but it would suck to see him in a 49ers jersey. They would instantly be the best team in the NFL if he's a 49er.
Yeah, I just read today, too, that I don't know if it was the GM or the coach. One of them said that Purdy deserves a start.
John Lynch did say that today.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I don't want to come off as like a Brock Purdy hater here, but why does he deserve a start? Like, I don't really understand.
I
They
agree.
won a few games. They won a few games. He doesn't match my eye test. I don't understand. He just got elbow surgery. Give Trey Lance, the guy he played gave a bunch of draft picks to. Let him try to run the offense for a bit. If Trey Lance fails, then put Brock Purdy in. Like, don't do it the other way around. I think it's stupid.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when people talk Brock Purdy, I feel like they forget that they had Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. You know what I mean? They had players that could make things happen on their own. Like, you just give Deebo the ball in space on a little jet sweep, and he makes everything happen. Now, don't get me wrong, Purdy played well and made the passes he had to make. But like you said, the eye test, I'm going with Trey Lance.
And I have no doubt in my mind if Brock Purdy's healthy in that NFC Championship game. The score's still 38-14. Yeah. I don't know. Is Brock Purdy really going to put you over the top to beat the Eagles? They should be thinking, what's the highest upside we can get? And I think Trey Lance provides that. Like, if Trey Lance was starting in that game, I would be way more scared than if Brock Purdy was starting in that game.
Yeah,
it's funny. Me and Joe had the same conversation the other week, saying the same exact thing. Like, Eagles beat that team with Purdy or without convincingly.
Exactly.
It's almost like back in 2002, McNabb broke his leg against the Cardinals, and AJ Feely played pretty well. It's almost like John Lynch saying Purdy deserves a spot. It would almost be like, AJ Feely deserves a spot. Like,
Jeff Garcia deserves a spot after 06.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, Purdy was a nice story. I think the kid definitely outperformed his expectations. I mean, he was the last pick of the draft, but let's keep it real. I mean, he was the last. He was the last pick of the draft for a reason. I mean, I think there's a ceiling on his talent level. And I think the league's going to figure him out.
I think a lot of NFL teams struggle with, like, they're very short-sighted. They look at what happened last year over the last few games, and they don't look at, like, the kind of big picture of why they're in that situation, what happened. Very similar to what happened with the Eagles in 2020. They kept short-sighted. We made the playoffs with Wentz, and he had the concussion. We could have made it all the way. Let's continue extending these old contracts. Like, I think teams really struggle with, like, short-sighted and just small sample size success, and they try to replicate that, which doesn't happen very often. So
up until the Eagles' defense, I mean, I don't think Purdy really played anybody that had a good defense.
The schedule thing, like, you know what, you can play who's in front of you. Like, he won a playoff game. He got them an NFC Championship game, right? I think it's just more like I think Trey Lance is a better quarterback, and I think Trey Lance has a much higher upside. So the Purdy thing is just I think it got out of control. A great story, fun. He played well, but I think he deserves to be a backup for next year. If Trey Lance struggles, then come on board. Let's see if we can get the lightning in a bottle we had last year. But
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Wentz, do you see him on the NFL roster this year?
I don't. I don't know what's going to happen with Carson Wentz. Very odd one. The thing I was thinking about this, and we talked about this on my podcast. If you take a look at the good backup quarterbacks that have succeeded in the NFL, most of them aren't first or second overall picks or first round picks. They're guys that have historically been backups their entire career. They put in the work. They're 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round guys. Like Matt Barkley is a great example. Matt Barkley is about to go on like year 13. He was an Eagles 4th round pick when, like 2007, something like that. Like usually the successful quarterbacks kind of or backup quarterbacks are able to kind of sit back, hold a clipboard, and take advice from other people. I have a hard time seeing Carson Wentz fitting in a locker room as a backup quarterback. But it's what a fall from grace, man. Like it's a wild story, and I can't wait for the ESPN 30 for 30 on it in a few years.
like Chase Daniel getting all that money being a backup for X amount of years.
Nick Foles, for instance, he was a 3rd-round pick. He had to work his ass off to come in. He's one of the best backup quarterbacks of all time. Like very rarely see high-end draft picks. Like Baker Mayfield's another example. Like how many shots does Baker have? If he flails out in Tampa, he's most likely not going to be a backup quarterback somewhere because he was a 1st overall pick. He had a high draft pedigree. So I think I don't. Maybe I'll take it back. I think Wentz could land on a roster. I think it's closer. I think I'll lean no, but I do think it's a shot. Like what if an injury comes up in training camp, like the Teddy Bridgewater thing with the Sam Bradford?
Right.
Something similar, right? A team needs a quarterback. Like I don't think his NFL playing years are done. I just think there's going to be a gap. I don't see it anytime soon.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the 30 for 30. Like I feel like I have the title. You could call it One Sunday in Los Angeles, because if you really think about it, that injury changed the whole course of his career. And I don't think the Eagles win the Super. Like as good as Wentz was that year, I've never seen him have a clutch gene. I honestly don't think the Eagles win the Super Bowl if he doesn't get hurt, and it changed the course of everything.
I actually don't think it was that injury. I'm trying to find a tweet that I had. I think it was a Seahawks concussion. I think it was in that playoff game that really.
You know what? Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't have the stats in front of me. I had a tweet about it, but if you take a look at the before the concussion and after the concussion, it's 2 different guys, like completely 2 different quarterbacks. Let's remember here, Wentz carried the Eagles to the playoffs in 2019. And he played well in 2018 before he got hurt. Like 2019, those last 4 games, it was a weak schedule. They played, I think, the Commanders once, the Giants twice, and the Cowboys. But he was throwing to Robert Davis. There's a guy in the XFL right now, Deontay Burnett, who's in the XFL right now. Like Boston Scott and Miles Sanders were his best pass catchers.
Yeah. Didn't he have to come back big against the Giants, right?
Yeah, that was a night game. I think that was I don't know if that was 2019 or 2020. But 2019, do you remember week 17? The Eagles beat the Cowboys in 2019 week 16. It was a night game, I believe, right? And then they had to beat the Giants in week 17 to clinch the division.
Yeah.
And that was a Boston Scott game. Boston got the 3 touchdowns. Yeah. The spin, like Wentz balled out that entire end of that 2019 season. He was great, and he had no help. Absolutely no help. And then after that concussion, it's just something. I think that's where it happened. You're right. The torn ACL did affect his mobility a little bit, and he was never the same guy like that. But he was still a really good quality starting quarterback after that. And again, I don't want to put blame on the concussion. I don't know if that's the reasoning factor, but I wish I had the tweet up. I don't want to go digging for it now, but the stats are alarming. Like it's 2 different guys from before that concussion, after that concussion.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, listen, Brenden, I really appreciate you taking the time, and it's been a lot of fun talking draft and talking football. Thanks for your time. And where can all the people check you out?
So you can follow me at Brenden Deeg _ check out my podcast, the Double Doing Podcast. Lots of cool content coming your way. I have an interview with Mike Greenberg from ESPN coming up over the next couple of days. It will drop on Monday. A lot of draft content, pushing out Eagles content as well. So make sure to subscribe to the podcast. And thanks for having me on, guys. You guys are fun, and this is an awesome show.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for coming on.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
See you, man. Have a good one. Yeah, that was fun, man. I love. I could talk football all year round. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's one thing. But whatchamacallit. So anyway, all right. Well, listen. Hey, you know what? Let's move on, I guess, to some Sixers here. But before we do, let me give a shout out to. Hang on, let me just get this down here. Yeah, let me give a shout out to our sponsors, and we'll move on to some Sixers. All right. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right. So, anybody out there with some legal problems, workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, if you have any problems, give my man David R. Cherry Esquire a call at 610-565-0300 or go on www.cherryinjurylaw.com. Anybody out there have some, want to go to a sporting event, concert, theater, Go on www.sherrystickets.com. They're family owned and operated since 1946, and you could save 10% off the code using the promo code EOP10. So make sure you check that out. Anybody down in the Delco area, you want to check out a killer bar? You know, they got they got Quizzo and music, great times, memorabilia giveaways. Dolansbar.com. They're at 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park, PA 19078. Mike Fuji knows all about this. Philly Sports Trips. They actually have an ultimate next week. In fact, they have the ultimate bus trip to Yankee Stadium, April 3rd to the Bronx. They got a draft trip coming up, Kansas City. Go up to Kansas City, watch the draft. So go on www.phillysportstrips.com. And here's the Edge of Philly lineup. There's something here for everybody. You got, of course, tonight you got the Sully squad, and then here's all the other shows here. You got the Attacking Third is on for all you Union fans out there. They're on Thursday nights. I know my man Diego Bianchi, Mr. 6 for 6. He's been doing a great job of covering the Union. So make sure you check out my buddy Diego and Austin and Gus and get your Union fix. So, all right, guys. Well, I guess if we move on to some Sixers here, I touched on it a little bit when we opened up the show. You know, I think we all were kind of looking for, at least I was actually really looking forward to this game tonight. I wanted to watch it. I wanted to see Embiid take it to Jokic. I really don't care about the MVP. I'll be honest, I don't really give a crap about the MVP. I only care about the Larry O'Brien.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I wanted to see Embiid go out there and torch his
Two
ass.
juggernauts playing.
You know what
Well,
I'm
I
saying?
kind of think that's the point they're trying to make here. That's the point in B. If he's not hurt, because they did say that when they asked him how he felt, he said not good.
Okay.
So I feel like the point the Sixers trying to make is with playing him the last two games and then not playing him against Jokic. It's like we're worried about the bigger picture here. We're not worried about the NBA getting their Embiid and Jokic matchup here. We ain't worrying about all these fans, these casual fans that are only looking for watch TV when the MVPs are playing and stuff like that. And that we're here to win a championship. You know, and I feel like that's the point you make with we're playing them against Phoenix, but we're not playing them against the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, and I listen, I get your point. I mean, that's how I feel. I care about, I want him right for the playoffs, but the way they did it to me doesn't make sense. I mean, Embiid plays at Chicago. What was that? Wednesday night, I believe, right? It was Wednesday night.
Yeah.
All right. He comes up lame with his calf. Okay. He's right back out there Friday night, puts up 46. Then he plays then he plays Saturday night on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I mean, I'm no doctor, but to me, I would think you would have sat him one or two of those games and given him a little bit of time based on.
Yeah, but no James Harden factors into that.
Well, that's true.
They're important games. You got to win these games. You got to have one of your stars on the court. So now, don't get me wrong. I would have sat him. I would have sat in one of the games because Phoenix didn't have Ayton or Kevin Durant.
Right.
So you sit on that game and then play them tonight against Jokic. So I agree with you, but no James Harden could have factored into playing him them 3 games and knowing you're probably going to get James Harden back tonight.
Yeah, he's coming back tonight.
It seems like, this team was, they had the cohesiveness now with these injuries creeping up. This isn't the time now. I mean, you were getting hot at the right time, coming down the stretch, and, you got some other tough games. Dallas. Later this week, you got Milwaukee and Boston coming to Philly, or they go to Milwaukee, and seem like the tires are, I don't want to say they're going off the road, but
they're starting to screech. They're starting to screech a little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brakes are losing.
All right, so here's the thing, right? So the second, it looked like we had a chance for the second seed. Now the second seed looks like it's done with now, because I think we're like 2.5 or 3 behind Boston now. So that you could check if you want.
4 back in Milwaukee, and Boston's a game and a half behind. Boston's a game and a half behind Milwaukee.
Well,
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're about 2.5 behind Boston. Plus they hold the tiebreaker. So really that's like 3. So now here's the thing. How far are we ahead of the Cavs? Because
2 back, I believe. They won 4 straight.
All right, so
Cleveland.
so we're 2. if we don't start winning a couple games, we might wind up being the 4 seed. Now, ironically, not to be Mr. Conspiracy here, but like, it could being the 4 seed may actually be a better path for the Philadelphia 76ers if you think about it, because if they're the 4 seed, you got the Knicks in round 1 and a 4-5, but then you got Milwaukee in the second round as opposed to Boston, who we don't match up good with Boston at all.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure if it's not better if the Sixers do wind up 4th.
Well, I don't know. Right now, I wouldn't want to play the Knicks, even though they dropped 3 straight, but still.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the first round, I'd rather play the Nets than the Knicks. But in the second round, I'd rather play Milwaukee than Boston. So you got to kind of pick your poison. And what round you want the harder matchup. So we can beat the Knicks. I think we should beat the Knicks. We will beat the Knicks. So I'd rather take our chances beating the Knicks than Milwaukee than beating the Nets than Boston.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I don't think, I'm not sitting here saying that's what they're going to do, because in reality, I think, you know what I think it is? I mean, you think about it, the Sixers had won, 8 in a row before they lost that game at home to Chicago last week. Harden gets dinged up, then Embiid gets dinged up, and this is a long season. I mean, I think these guys are at the point where they're like, yo, can we just like fast forward to the playoffs already? You know what I mean? Like I think it's just the NBA is a marathon. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about what goes on next month anyway. It's all about April anyway. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? What do you think, Paul? What's your opinion? What's your opinion on the Sixers? Like, what do you think? You think they're just kind of just waiting for the playoffs here?
Yeah, I mean, last year we went in the playoffs and Embiid was injured, right? So, I think it's more of like you said, like it's only 8-9 games left, regular season. Worst case we'll drop to the 4th seed, which is pretty much an easier schedule for us. More importantly, everybody needs to be healthy going into the playoffs if we want to even have a chance to go after Boston. So I think they're doing it the right way, resting these guys, and then just get to the playoffs. That's the way it should be.
Got 7 games plus, including the night.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at this schedule. You got Denver tonight. Then Wednesday, Dallas comes here. Now, Dallas, I'll tell you.
They're struggling.
They are, and you know what? Isn't it amazing for the great player that Kyrie Irving is? He seems to like Luka Doncic looks like he lost his best friend, man. I mean, that dude looks miserable. Like they're like,
yeah.
I'm watching videos of him. He's not smiling. He looks. I mean,
frustrated.
He looks like he wants to be anywhere but there right now.
My friend actually posted something today. Before Kyrie, they're 29 and 26. After Kyrie, 36 and 39.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not that big of a deal. That's 3 games.
From 5th in the West to 11th.
Well, the West got tough, though.
Yeah.
They kind of made their team worse, but they did give them Kyrie Irving, dude. So, stop pouting around and make it and figure it out.
Well, yeah, and it's ironic because they're 11th, so now that's one thing that's going to be really interesting. Now, it's funny because, the Sixers are doing load management and we're kind of just like, where are we seated? Well, if you look at the West, you got to basically every team in the West has to literally fight every single night just to get in. I mean, you said Dallas is 11th. Well, they got to move up a spot just to be in the play-in.
Well, from 4th, looking at here, from 4th to 11th, it's a log jam.
Yeah.
You mean Suns are 11 back, and looking at the Mavericks, they're 14 and a half back. So
Kings are playing hot.
Yeah.
Look,
do the Kings now? That's a quite good question with the Kings. Do the Kings scare you at all? If you're a team in the West, are you scared of the Sacramento Kings?
They don't scare me, but they have been one of the most consistent teams all year. I mean,
they're very productive, man. Yeah.
Yeah. But by the way,
if I'm Golden State, for example, I'm going. We play the Kings in the first round. They ain't messing with us. We're knocking them out. Now I'm not saying that is the matchup, but I feel like that's how. If you're the Lakers, for example, if you're like, if I could just get in or get a couple places above, no one is scared of that team.
Yeah, real quick, getting back to Luka, Austin Hamill says Luka really hasn't been himself ever since Kyrie came in. No, that's true. The one thing about the Kings, I was going to say, you talk about a great NBA trade that was great for both teams. Look at that trade, Sabonis for Halliburton. That's
Great trade.
I was going to say that's like the classic case of the trade that like really worked good for both teams because Halliburton is very good in Indiana and Sabonis is unreal in Sacramento. I mean, that was just a great trade.
His game has changed so much, man, all around, pass-wise, shooting. He's looking real good in Sacramento.
Yeah, Sabonis is a stud.
Yeah.
So let's break down. I'm looking at the Sixers schedule here. Like I said, we got at Denver tonight, Dallas Wednesday, the Raptors here on Friday, Sunday at Milwaukee, Boston comes here Tuesday, and the Heat come here Thursday. And then we end up, that's never mind. There's a few more after that. So
Atlanta,
right.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
All right. So you know what? I'll just break it down until we come on here next. So from the time we have 4 games till we're back on. At Denver, Dallas here, Toronto here, and at Milwaukee. How do we do in these next 4?
The way we're playing 1 and 3.
Yeah,
I'm saying 2-2 with losses against Denver and Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know what Embiid's health's looking like after this game.
I'll go 2-2 myself.
Yeah, or Harden too. I mean, Harden's playing tonight, but we don't know. I mean, they're going to have to nurse Harden through the end of this or the end of this week. And I forget where I saw the stat, but like I think with Harden offensively, we're like 3rd or 4th in the league, something like that. Without him, we're like 28th. I mean, basically, if you don't have a fully healthy James Harden, no matter who we play in the playoffs, it's going to be a struggle.
Right.
We need Harden, definitely. I'm going to say 1 and 3 because I feel like our prime goal is to get into the playoffs healthy. So I'm going to say, like, I don't think we're winning tonight. So I think tonight's an L. I think we actually might beat Dallas just because they're in disarray. And I think we beat. All right, I'll say 2 and 2. I'm sorry. I think we'll beat Dallas, beat the Raptors. The Bucks got revenge on us. I think the Bucks are going to beat us since it's out in Milwaukee.
We always struggle with the Raptors.
That's true.
True.
And you know what? The Raptors kind of need that. I think they're around the play-in thing, so they may need that game.
I'm with Diego, 1 and 3, the way I see it.
Here's our man Dave Yarnell. Hey Dave, how you doing? He said, "Hey Sully squad, how's everybody doing tonight?"
Good.
What's up, Dave?
What's up, man?
All right. So I'll say 1 and 3 also. So all right. Well, you know what? Hey,
It's going to be a tough week.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And the bench got to step up, just like we said last week, which is kind of a mirage compared to all the other teams. Your Boston, Milwaukee, and even Dallas. I mean, these guys got to step up, man. But we'll see this week.
All right. So we have the NBA is going down the stretch, but we have something that's just starting here that I'm extremely excited about. We got the National League champion Philadelphia Phillies are opening up the season this Thursday at Texas. It's going to be Aaron Nola against Jacob deGrom. With Phillies still very high on the Phillies. A little concerned over the Rhys Hoskins injury, but what's your guys' excitement level for this National League championship team? I guess Fuge, I'll start with you. What's your feeling on the Phillies? How far can they go? Is losing Rhys put a kibosh on that, or you think they could overcome it, or what?
Still going to say 96 wins. I mean, it's a big loss, with his bat, but I think Derek Cole can step in. Just got to give him some time. I mean, he got some options. JT could, play first. Maybe you move Alec Boehm over there.
They got Castellanos over there working.
Yeah, I did see that earlier. I mean, Dombrowski's a wizard. I'm sure, he'll address the situation if he has to, especially at the deadline. I mean, the starting pitching's a little shaky right now, but it's better it's now than down the stretch. And, it's not how you start. It's where you finish. So and we'll be at the opener there. You, me,
Yeah,
and
that's
Paul.
right.
Yeah,
Looking
definitely. Yeah,
forward
looking
to
forward to
that.
that. Definitely. Supposed to be good weather too for once.
Nice.
Thank
Diego,
God.
what's your thoughts, bro?
I'm super excited for this Philly season, despite the Hoskins injury. I mean, I know he hits a lot of homers, and that's pretty much what he does. I feel like we'll find them homers throughout our lineup. Like Bohm should put a couple more out this year. Stott should put a couple more out this year. The kid that's going to fill in for him, Hall, can get you like 15, 16. Even though he can't hit left-handed, he should be able to get you 15, 16. So I'm excited for the Phillies. You're coming off a World Series berth. That's definitely exciting. And you know how baseball gets, though. You get excited for like the first month, then it's like, all right, dude, 100 more.
Ready
It's long.
Then when you get towards the end of the season, you get hype again. So it's
Do you
always.
remember? Do you remember the movie Major League? Remember Major League? All right. Well, the kid gets all they get their ass kicked like 11-0 or something like that, and the kid's all excited. And Tom Berenger, I think, he goes, relax, hey buddy, there's 161 more of these. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, still.
Exactly.
And you know what's funny? So we're excited about the Phillies. Pat Bernard's only thinking about Dollar Dog Night. So Pat Bernard,
of course,
Dollar Dog Night, April 11th. Unfortunately, I'll be in Harrisburg.
Don't worry there. I'm sure you find some hot dogs up there too, Val.
They're probably like, it's the guy that only comes on Dollar Dog Night. Don't even let him in.
Yeah, they're like,
they actually lose money on Dollar Dog Night when Pat's there.
Yeah.
Austin Hamill with a comment here. He goes, Derek Hall can definitely supplement Hoskins, the Hoskins loss in a way. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I know, Diego, you think he could hit 15 to 16, but I mean, I actually think if he gets enough at bats, I think he could hit about 20 to 25 at least. And I
can't hit left-handers though.
Yeah,
with that 25 number, you're saying he can hit left-handers. So you're telling me he's going to be able to hit that?
I think he can hit 20 to 25 just against righties. I mean, because there's more
That's
righties than lefties,
Well,
righties, that's a lot. I would say 15, 20. 15, like I said, 15, 20 wouldn't be big because if you got 4 more out of Bohm and 4 more out of Stott, there's your 28.
Hopefully Kevin Long can straighten out his mechanics here. I mean, talking about one of the best hitting coaches in the league. And, maybe he could work with him and straighten. I mean, no, I'll say this about Hoskins. You ain't going to miss his defense at first base.
Hall's an upgrade there.
Right. Hoskins is such a liability at first base with his defense.
There's interesting thing. Luke Voigt might be available from Milwaukee Brewers. They're taking a look at him. He might get he might ask for a release. I'd like to see.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, saw that.
You know.
Yeah, he would be a good acquisition because I mean he hit like 35, 40 homers for the Yanks a few years back.
I think he'd be a real good acquisition. Got a good bat, good defense. So yeah.
Here's Pat Bernard. He says, not to be mean, but Hoskins is a strikeout machine. And,
strikeout machine that puts dirty balls out of the ballpark. So you got to supplement that.
Exactly. Austin Hamill, he goes, he will get a few lucky pitches to swing free on, plenty of games for him to get his due. And then I wanted to touch on this. Paul, I'll ask your opinion on this because it says here, thoughts on the Phillies holding out on signing Nola. Because they broke off contract negotiations and they're not going to speak again until after the season. So do you think that could, sometimes that can affect a guy. Do you think that'll affect a guy like Nola, or do you think that he'll be able to overcome that and still have a good year?
No, because even if they don't come to the contract, he's trying to pitch for another contract somewhere else. So right. I'm sure he's going to put it through. All that he has. However, I see the Phillies stands too is, he really come up small in the playoffs and down the stretch when we need him to perform and he comes up small, especially in the playoffs. So I understand the Phillies approach. So if he's having a solid year this year and overcomes like the end of the year and the playoffs and does well, then I see them coming to a contract.
Gotcha. And Paul, like I said, man, we'll be getting in those. I'm really excited. Tomorrow night we'll be getting in a lot of baseball. So I'm looking forward to that. But All right, so I'm looking at this first week here of the Phillies. So we got what is it? A few in Texas, and then we play
3
at
in
Yankee
Texas
Stadium.
and 3 in New York.
All right, so let's just for the hell of it here. Actually, you know what? All right, forget the first week so far. Now that the year's starting? What's our predictions? What's our NL East predictions? What do you guys think? Let's go on the record for what we think is going to happen in the division. I'll start first. I'm putting my balls on the table, and I am saying the Phillies are going to win. I'm saying the Phillies are going to win the division. I say the Phillies are going to win the division with 95 wins. First place. I think the Braves are second with about 91, and I think the Mets are third at 88. I think the Phillies win the NL East. We don't have to go the wild card route this year. What do you guys think?
I agree with that. I think the Phillies win the NL East. I think they get about 92 wins. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, 92. So who would get the W? Then I would say the Braves, the Mets, then Florida, then the Nationals.
Okay, yeah, the Nationals aren't even relevant. I mean, do they even play baseball in DC anymore? You know,
baseball is funny sometimes, though. Them teams that you have no idea are going to be good that year are good. And you're like, who's these guys they brought up? Because no one really digs that deep into baseball, I feel like.
Yeah, well, it's like the Indians in Major League. They're like, who the hell are these guys? You know what I mean?
You know, one year the Athletics are good. One year the Rays are really good. Like teams just pop. Last year was Seattle Mariners, right? They were pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, so like baseball year to years are very. You can turn it around just by bringing a couple farm system guys up and a couple arms.
Well, look at one of my all-time favorite teams ever, the '93 Phillies. I mean, who the hell thought they were going to do anything? I mean, you guys like Jim. You had like guys like Jim Eisenreich, Wes Chamberlain, Danny Jackson. I mean, you know,
David West.
They came out of nowhere. You know, they were like last place. Like
Exactly.
growing up, I started watching baseball in '86. The Phillies sucked balls like every year, and then all of a
Actually,
sudden,
the Phillies
they were great.
Phillies finished second behind the Mets that year, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but they were like 20 games behind.
Yeah.
them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the Mets. The Mets ran away with that division.
Then we signed Lance Parrish, and everybody was like, "Oh man, the Phillies are going to do something." Lance Parrish sucked.
Talk about
I
a
mean,
boss.
Oh yeah, but
Big time.
so what do you think, Mike? What's your predictions for the East?
I say 96 for the Phils. Atlanta right behind them. I mean, the Mets with those two geezers with Verlander and Scherzer. You know, and the last two to round it out. So, still think they definitely won the division.
I think
we're on the same page.
And the loss of Diaz too.
Right.
Yeah,
That's huge.
What do you think, Paul? Are you sticking? Are you seeing everything through red rose-colored glasses like we are, or do you think somebody else is going to win this division?
No, I mean, obviously everything has to gel and come through, right? You know, you got to get Harper back. You know, you got to make up the production that we're losing with Hoskins with the homers, and you know, Suarez has to get back in there from the injury and all that. Everything all gels well. I'm going to say they get 100 this year, 162, if everything goes well.
Wow.
Second will be Braves, and then third Mets, and then the bottom of the division.
Damn, Paul, you really put them on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the addition of Trey Turner is absolutely amazing. You saw what he did in the Baseball Classic World,
Right?
And you know, even the spring training games he's playing now, he's hitting homers. So I think it's huge for us with him and Harper together like that, and Schwarber. I think if everything gels well, I think we get 100 wins.
I think to get to 100, you need Castellanos to really be big while Bryce Harper's out.
Well, see, here's the big thing about Castellanos, right? When we sign him, if you look at his stats every year, one year he's great, one year he sucks. Great.
Yeah, sucks. Every other year.
This year he sucks, so he's due for a good year this year. So
he's due.
Yeah.
Hey, let's hope. What did he came out last year? He had that shirt. I think it said like I don't have a college. I don't have a college.
Oh, like those hit baseballs.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know what?
Hit him.
Stick to that, and maybe a year later, maybe he finally fumigated Ben Simmons' house. You know,
we all know. We don't know how baseball is, dude. Baseball, everybody is like very particular about everything. Your gloves got to be on the same exact way before every bat. You got to step on every single pebble of dust that you touch every single time out there before you go up the bat. So you change someone's whole entire location and tell him to get used to it when he can't even step on a line when he's coming out the dugout. It's going to be a pretty hard adjustment for the first year. I think Castellanos does get back to what he's doing, what he was doing this year.
Hopefully, he got rid of the Maloik in the Ben Simmons house.
Yeah, and it's a Ben Simmons house. I'll send my sister over there to hit him with a little sage.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know what too? It actually has me wondering because you know how they have this, the pitch clock, and they don't let the batters step out. So I'm wondering. I'm kind of wondering if that's going to mess with some guys that out there doing.
Bryce Harper especially does a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot. He puts the bat down. He does
adjust the batting gloves. Goes across the bat. Goes
floor.
across the plate with the bat.
Yeah.
Like he's doing the sign of the cross.
Yep. Yeah, he takes a while.
Yeah, you're right. Harper does that a lot, and the guy that I always think of when it comes to that stuff was Lenny Dykstra. Remember Dykstra? God, I never saw anybody do more stuff in the box.
Step out of the box, get back in.
Now let's see if all that fidgeting actually does something. Because if the MLB looks similar in numbers with the guys from last year, then the pitch clock isn't really hurting them. I guess that would be we'll figure out whether that's hurting them or not towards the end of the year when you see how the collective does with the whole entire clock.
Yeah, Pat Bernard with a comment here. He says, this past Phillies team, end of May, there were 12 games out, then fired Joe Girardi. Phillies caught fire. Bohm, Castellanos were tied at 16th in the league for hitting. Castellanos' defense stepped up in the postseason. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, he's not a great defensive player, but he did make some great plays. That's for sure.
Well, I got them at 96 wins.
Okay.
Atlanta second, Mets third. The other guys, Marlins, Nationals, the bottom of the barrel. But I think this offense is going to just be lights out, just to hit on what Paul said. Trey Turner, he's going to lead the league in steals, I think.
Okay.
And just his bat. Castellanos is going to break out of that slump, like the guy said. I mean, let's go.
Murder's Row when Harper comes back.
All right, so we have him. We all have him winning the division. Do we get back? Do we get back to the World Series?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is hard. That's one thing. It is hard to get back in baseball.
Hard.
You need everything to. I mean, everything's got to work for you. You need a
hard,
lot of luck
too.
But then again, doesn't it seem like once these teams get it put together, they go on runs? They get there for 4 years in a row. So if the Phillies put it together, there's no reason they can't. Just my gut tells me if I had to pick only 2 out of 32 teams go, I would say no.
They got that hit, and they want to get back. You know what I'm saying?
As I said, it's not how you start out; it's where you finish.
But we didn't start out great with Reed Hoskins blowing his knee out.
Yeah, and then the pitching injuries. I mean, Suarez isn't quite ready. They're starting that new guy. What is it, Stram or whatever? He's going to start.
Yeah, he had to pay it out in 2. As a matter of fact.
Here's Dave Yorno with another point on Castellanos. He says, "Hey guys, in your opinion, does Castellanos have more than 13 home runs this season?" Well, for the money, he sure as shit better for what he's getting paid.
I say over 20, at least 22, over 22.
Yeah, I say 20, 25.
He'll break out of it this year.
I think so too. I think he hits at least about 25. Pat Bernard here, he says Turner, Bohm, and Castellanos will tear it up in small ball. Well, I like Turner. I took Turner first overall in our draft. I was thinking about taking Aaron Judge, but I'm banking on Turner having 35, 40 steals too. So to Pat's point, now I never play fantasy baseball, so I have no idea. How many points you get for steals? I have no clue. Did you get a good amount of points or what?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, because I have no clue. I played fantasy football all these years, but fantasy baseball, I'm I was gonna say
You'll like it. It'll change you.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
I thought you played it last year.
I played it a couple years ago, but I didn't really know what
I played it last year.
I didn't really know what the heck I was doing. Like the website was messed up. Remember, I had a hard time setting my line up. I'm not the most technical guy or whatever, and like I couldn't figure out how to do the changes, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, this blows, you know. Now I know how to do it in this site, so I'll be keeping up on that, John. Plus me, Sean, and Fuji are all in it, so I can't, I can't be a total scrub. I got to at least try to compete.
You got a pretty good team from what I saw. Nice roster.
Yeah, let's hope. I went like all.
Didn't
offense.
sound like it at the beginning of the show when you guys were like, "Is that the team you picked, Joe?" That's all sounded trash, Joe.
That's why Sean and I thought maybe you auto draft last night.
Well, you know what's funny? I took like Bryce Harper. It said Bryce Harper because he was hurt. Was supposed to go like 180th, and I took him with like the 6. I was like, you know what? I'm grabbing Bryce Harper. I don't care. So I
With
grabbed
the
him.
6th pick?
No. But like my outfield, I got like the dude from Houston that hits 40 home runs. What's his name? Yolando or whatever, right? I think that's his
Yeah.
name, Yolando.
Yolando Jordan.
Yeah, I don't remember I don't remember his name. Whatever.
Jordan Alvarez.
Yeah, Alvarez. That's it. He had like 40
Okay.
homers. And then I got Juan Soto and I got Harper. You know what I mean? So, hey man, I got some guys that and Trey Turner. I got some guys that should be hitting some bombs. You know what I'm saying? So pitching's optional for me. I didn't take my first pitcher till like the 8th round.
Gotcha.
Here we go. Yeah, I don't care about defense. I just want to score. You know what I mean? Kind of like when I go out. You know what I mean? I just want to score. That's it. I'm all about offense, baby. Dave Yarnell here. He's got a comment. He goes, guys, I still don't trust Kimbrel in the pen. That's just me. How about you guys?
I think they're going to work around with.
I think Sir Anthony might wind up being the closer by the end of the year.
They'll find out something. I think we should be good with them.
Soto's a possibility too.
I just got a notification. Howie Roseman plans on signing Jalen Hurts relatively soon, if that matters.
Oh, plans on what? Signing him?
Plans on signing Jalen Hurts relatively soon. It said in quotations, relatively soon.
Wow.
Yeah, that matters a lot. I mean, I think.
Didn't we know an extension was coming though? Didn't we know the signing was coming? So that's why I don't feel like it matters much.
No,
it was coming.
It was due.
Well, it kind of does though, because I mean, what if Jalen wanted to wait for? I would like to sign Jalen before Burrow and Herbert sign, because that way, because each contract's going to be more than the other. So if we could get Jalen to go first, then you might save a few million a year.
True.
Yeah, but do you think it's all set on what Lamar Jackson gets as well right now?
I
really don't have any bearing on it.
I think Lamar's like a separate case. I think I think kind of like what Diego. I think kind of like Diego said. It was like kind of like the owners are like, yo man, Jimmy Haslam screwed up with this guaranteed contract. We ain't doing that. You know what I mean?
Come on. Like I don't listen. I am not a believer in Lamar Jackson, and I'm not saying like, oh, he's the best quarterback in the league. He's going to take you to the Super Bowl. But he's better than more than every quarterback besides maybe 6 in the whole entire league. 7.
He's definitely He's definitely like top 8. I mean, he would
like the kid dude Brenden Deeg said, make that Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert would have 15 teams in line to get him, and there's only 7 teams that need quarterbacks.
No doubt.
Yeah. So, all right. Before we get out of here, let's do Philly's first 6 games. How they doing? 3 in Texas and 3 in New York. What are you guys thinking?
I'm gonna go. They disappoint us a little bit early on, because the hype's up. They feel a little bit of pressure. They have to settle in. I'm gonna say they start 2-4.
Okay, Paul, what do you think?
I'll say 500. We struggled with Texas last year too. Remember, I think they swept us in 4 games.
They did.
Yeah.
We struggled.
It was 2 game series.
Yeah, we lost all 4 of those games. They played us tough, and they got DeGrom going first game too. I say 3-3.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got DeGrom before he gets the inevitable injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we played them in a month, he probably would be hurt.
At least he's out of the National League.
100%.
What do you think, Sean?
With Paul, 3-3.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-4. I'm kind of with Diego. I think because a lot of times for some reason the Phillies a lot of times kind of start off like the weather might be like Texas won't be cold, so maybe they could take 2 or 3 in Texas, but the Bronx, I mean, it could be cold as hell up there. You know what I mean? Next week,
it's April baseball.
Yeah. Here's a comment here. What do you guys think of this? It says, "You watch, Lamar will end up in Tennessee." You know,
I could see it, but then they got to move Ryan Tannehill, no?
And then the rookie they drafted too.
Oh yeah, and Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Hey, look, listen, I'm not.
They had to ship Malik Willis back to Baltimore for that. Maybe, who knows?
They had homies. Liberty plays in Maryland, so yeah.
So listen, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Malik Willis is total trash yet, and I know, but he looked like trash last year. I mean, he could improve, but you talk about a guy that wasn't ready to play. I mean, just watching him, he looked like he didn't even know how to write. He looked like he didn't even know how to throw a football. I was like,
he looked like he was 2 years away from getting to the NFL.
This is the landing spot that I think. Like Laura says, Indy.
This has been talked about the last couple of days over the weekend.
Talking about this,
I honestly think he ends up in Baltimore because I think this is the lesson that owners are trying to teach these dudes. Like, we're not going to draft you, invest all our money into it. Like, we want to keep our quarterbacks. So next time it happens to one of these other teams, they don't want the same exact situation to happen to them. You know what I mean? So all these guys are like, let's just no one offer him a contract. That way, he has to go back to Baltimore and negotiate. If not, he's going to, like the guy was saying, this could go on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine he's going to want to sit out the year. I mean, I know. Just although,
I mean, if he leaves, that's going to set back Baltimore, man.
I don't know. Lamar seems to be a guy that stands on what he says. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's going to buckle. I think he would have buckled already if he was going to buckle. He's holding this out. He's either going to get traded or his contract will be up at the end of next year, right?
Oh, he is his own agent.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, look at Deshaun Watson sat out. I mean, he just sat back and got massages for a year.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. Yeah,
we still paying that off.
He was like, I don't want to go to work. I have a massage. You know what I mean?
He's still paying.
I got somewhere to be.
He's still paying those lawsuits off.
I can't play Sunday at 1. I got a massage appointment.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah, I was going to say. I wonder if Deshaun Watson asked Robert Kraft for some pointers.
That's
didn't Robert Kraft go somewhere and get a massage too, right?
Yeah, he got busted though. He got busted on camera.
Hey, you know what I read earlier?
It wasn't even funny.
They said Meek Mill reached out to Robert Kraft about saying Lamar Jackson wanted to play in New England. That came out earlier.
I read that New England was a possibility because Belichick. I don't know how true this is, but I read that Belichick loves Lamar Jackson, and Belichick also sees the new wave of the future, which is guys like Jalen Hurts and Anna Lamar Jackson and Belichick. Let's keep it real. I mean, Belichick had Brady all those years, and he was the GOAT of all time. But now the wave of the future is the athletic quarterback that can do more things. And Belichick is definitely a smart guy. He sees the trend. You know what I'm saying?
And Mac Jones is garbage.
Yeah, I don't like him. No.
Mac, I mean, I think you can win some football games with Mac Jones, but I don't.
And they lost their number 1 receiver.
But I don't see them. Do you guys see? I don't see you winning a Super Bowl with Mac Jones. Like to me,
I don't see you getting into the playoffs with Mac Jones. To me, Mac Jones is not a good quarterback.
Just something about him.
Yeah, I told you he's not good.
Kobe, they lost Damian Harris. Not saying he's anything, but even Aguilar left too.
You went to the Ravens?
Yeah. Well,
the safety retired, McCourty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he retired after 13 years.
Yeah,
Tower.
I'll make a prediction right now. I think New England's picking 15th. I would bet the house that they probably take the safety branch from Alabama. He just looks like a Patriot to me. That's such a Belichick pick. They take him because Belichick and Saban are like this. You know what I mean? He loves taking them Alabama dudes. And I could see him being like, "Oh, I'm bringing Branch in to replace McCourty as the quarterback of my defense."
Or Skronowski, the O lineman. He fits about the the New England way.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. But hey, you know what? We could talk all night here. We get into this, but let's get ready to wrap up real fast before we get out of here. I wanted to get into a little bit of Flyers because they've been playing good and they actually deserve us to talk because I mean, shoot, they're red hot. But
They don't deserve nothing. We shouldn't have talked about them all year about being on a 5-game win streak. They don't deserve to be talked about. They're the epitome of a stupid ass franchise that doesn't know what they want to do. Let's bring John Tortorella in to mess everything up. To not be the worst team in the league. Hold on, we have a chance to get. They say it's a 5-man draft. We got a chance to finish in the bottom 5. You know what? Let's go on a fucking win streak for the rest of the year. Come on, dude. They don't deserve to be talked about. They are a disgrace.
I know. Right. I was all about to say
Carhart had that shutout too. Carhart looked good the other game.
Yeah, I was all about to say that in my heart of hearts, I wish they would finish with 5 as bottom 5, but the only thing I was going to give them credit for is at least some of the young guys are playing well. Like that kid Forrester with that wrist shot last week was like unreal. But like you said, Diego, the problem is they have a few nice young pieces, but they're supporting cast type players. They need a star player to come in here, and that's why I really wanted them to tank because I was hoping they would get one of these top 5 guys. I think right now they'd be picking like 7th or 8th unless they somehow win the lottery, which is highly unlikely. So
I'm looking at it now. They have the 5th worst record right now.
Nah, they're worse than that.
Oh wait. No.
7th or 8th. If they were 5th, I'd be really happy.
They have 68 points. Yeah, got the West. You got Sharks and Ducks that are terrible. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're 6 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and in like a 5-man draft.
But they're far from worse.
Right.
Like 50 Sharks have the worst right now.
Right, but
because that organization knows what they're doing. They're like, let's suck because the guy that's coming out is generational. And generational hockey players don't come around often. Crosby, McDavid, and this kid now. In the last how many years? Alex Ovechkin? There's a handful of them.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You're right, Diego.
Crosby came out in 2005. That was what, 18 years ago?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And McDavid was 2005, I think. So, yeah, it averages like once every like 8 to 10 years.
Yeah. Hockey's a funny sport like that. The special guys don't come around often.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's hard to draft someone that's not generational and then they don't play right away. They go to the minors, or college for another year or so.
Yeah, like the kid.
We need help now.
the kid we took last year, Coutier or whatever.
Coutier or something like that.
Yeah.
Here, let me get this comment real quick, and then we'll get out of here. It goes. Tortorella said in the post-game interview, Tyson Forrester is getting sent to the Phantoms to get playoff experience. Yeah. Well, like we said though, and he's playing well, but thanks, like just enough to get a couple wins, just to screw up our draft picks. Like
just to make it harder to get a good thing.
I don't make sense. Just like I said.
Anyway, hey, you know what? It is what it is. I mean, I'll just hope, let's grab some lucky shamrocks at the NHL draft. The NHL draft lottery, grab some lucky shamrocks, or get like a what do you call it, John? Voodoo doll or some shit. You know what I mean? And maybe we can.
Let's all. Yeah, you guys want to meet up day before the draft to pick some shamrocks?
Yeah, exactly.
The Flyers gonna need that shit.
Yeah, why don't we just get a box of Lucky Charms?
Bring your kids, bring your kids.
Hey,
my daughters.
Hey, that's perfect, man. I'll do anything I can to get some luck because I would love to have a hockey team. So let's hope. But all right, fellas, well let's roll out of here. Go Sixers, go Phillies. By this time, hopefully we get a couple W's. And hopefully the Flyers get a couple L's, but keep playing good, just good enough to lose. So, all right, fellas, I'll see you all next week.